Okay, moving right along, we're going to continue the architecture discussion here. So I'm going to welcome our next speaker, Jason Bloomberg from ZapThink, which is a Devel company. He's going to talk to us about enterprise architecture for cloud.
Thank you. Clicker.
Great.
Very good. All right, very good. Well, my name is Jason Bloomberg. I am president of ZapThink. We are a division of Devel Technologies. Devel is a government contractor here in the Tysons Corner area, but ZapThink was acquired last year. We've spent 10 years as industry analysts and thought leaders in the area of service-oriented architecture and now cloud computing. I recently put together a 2-day cloud computing course. I'm running around the world. So actually Sunday I'm hopping a plane to Singapore, running it there, and then Australia, and then India. So here I am. Got to take the metro today. That was quite different from hopping a plane to Singapore. Okay, so let's see the enterprise architecture context for cloud computing. So this is your application, right? We want to put it in the cloud. Now that could be Fortran, not that anybody brought up Fortran this morning, or whatever spaghetti code you have. So let's, you have this legacy application, right? You might have lost the source code, it might be ancient, all the people who know how it works have died many years ago, who knows what. So we're going to move it to the cloud, right? Clean it up, solve all its problems. There we are. We just put our legacy app in the cloud. That was easy. Okay, well, it might be a little trickier than that. Let's say, though, you don't really consider your existing legacy app to be spaghetti necessarily. Here's your existing app, right? Maybe something object-oriented written in Java or C# or whatever, but on-premise, and now we want to move it to the cloud. Okay, but you can see what's coming. Let's move it to the cloud. There we are. We just stuck our app in the cloud. Well, there's more to it than this. This is really the point I'm trying to make, right? The cloud is not just some virtual server in the sky where you can just pick up an application and stick it in the cloud and get all the benefits of cloud computing, the elasticity, the resilience, et cetera. There's a lot more to it than that, and that is really the point of my talk. So the challenge here is that you need to re-architect your existing applications to take advantage of cloud-based benefits. In particular, elasticity. Right? Elasticity is the key to the cloud. Right? You can scale up, you can scale down in an automated way, and that's something that existing applications typically can't take advantage of unless you rework them in some way in order to take advantage of that. The same with the fault tolerance of the cloud, right? If a piece of it goes down, it comes back up automatically. Many applications are not ready for that or not able to take advantage of that. And if a piece of your existing legacy app goes down, it may take down the whole app, right? So that's something also you may have to re-architect your application to take advantage of. Now, what we find a lot of organizations achieving is the fact that they're moving to the cloud. It requires them to use better best practices in general, right? They're going to re-architect their apps to be more fault tolerant, to be more scalable, which is a good thing anyway, right? So it introduces a level of discipline in their architecture that maybe they were able to get away with not having before. Okay. So in terms of your enterprise architecture strategy, the challenge here is placing cloud into the broader context of your IT environment. Right, so you have a lot of different options that you can call upon, whether they're on-premise capabilities or cloud-based capabilities, and you don't want to position the cloud as some sort of magic bullet, but rather one of the options that are available to you. So where do you begin? You begin with your business objectives. Right, we heard this on the panel this morning, where you start with the business problem, the business context, what your mission goals are for your organization. That should drive your technology strategy, right? And the technology strategy then looks at your current enterprise architecture and says, well, here's all the stuff we have, here's our existing assets, here's where we are today, how are we going to move forward to solve the problems that we want to solve? And now the cloud has to fit into that story as opposed to the story being all about the cloud. So we start with the business strategy, that drives the IT strategy, right? So it drives how you deal with business process in the context of IT. Governance now is a business concept that drives technology behaviors and technology constraints. That drives your application and infrastructure strategies, as well as your operations or the enterprise IT management strategies. So the business strategy drives the IT strategy, and now cloud has to fit into this story as well. So we want to move from our as-is state to our some sort of nirvana future state. This is what a lot of enterprise architects talk about. But in reality, there is no such thing as a nirvana future state, right? Because what we're really doing is moving from today's state, which we all know is completely screwed up, to a more agile environment. We want to be able to deal better with changes in the business environment in the future. So we're moving from today's environment to a future environment that is more flexible, more agile, better able to deal with changes in the business environment. So in the context of cloud computing, we're going to be looking at ways to achieve that at the enterprise level. And there's three core areas that organizations are taking advantage of when they move to the cloud. One is application modernization, right? Taking something old and using the cloud or leveraging the cloud to help modernize it. So we want to somehow get rid of or retire or decommission an older capability. Well, sometimes that's not possible, right? Sometimes you have to keep an older capability around, and now it becomes a question of application rationalization. How do we extend some legacy asset, legacy capability, and leverage cloud-based capabilities in order to extend an existing asset that for business reasons we're not able or willing to retire? And then another way of incorporating the cloud into your enterprise architecture strategy is to leverage cloud-based services. So whether they're software as a service-based services or platform as a service, you can basically extend the capabilities that are available to your organization by leveraging the services that are available in the cloud. So these are the three basic areas that enterprise architects are looking to the cloud to help extend the capabilities that they're trying to leverage in the context of their existing on-premise environment. So where we stand today, though, is that most organizations, whether they're government organizations or private sector, are primarily in the early stages of moving to the cloud, the toe in the water stage, right? And we see this in the U.S. government agencies all over the place, right? They're all moving to the cloud. The Cloud First Initiative says we got to do stuff in the cloud. So what are they doing first? Well, there's a lot of email in the cloud, right? Everybody wants to do email in the cloud, or putting websites in the cloud, or leveraging a software as a service offering that meets your needs. These are a lot of the toe in the water steps. This is a great place to start, right? You've got to start somewhere, start with a lower risk, better established approaches, and you can get the benefits of the cloud early on in your roadmap to the cloud. But over time, the big wins for government are legacy modernization. Right? There's a lot of old stuff in the government, and one of the things about the government is there's no mandate for retiring anything. Right? Congress has never said your technology shall only have a lifetime of X years. Right? That's never been written into law. Right? So the technology the government has could last forever. Right? And that it can cost more, and it has all these problems. So now the cloud is a way of modernizing existing assets that gives you new capabilities, new ways of doing that you may not have had before. Legacy rationalization as well, right? If you have 80 different applications written at different times in different languages, different operating systems, and that's becoming a huge headache, a huge money sink for your agency, well, the cloud can help facilitate rationalizing that, consolidating them, figuring out how best to implement a services approach or a service-oriented architecture that will share capabilities. The cloud can be a key part of achieving that benefit. And so service-oriented architecture is a key part of the story. Right? How are we going to leverage existing legacy assets in a way that provides for flexibility, in a way that enables us to share those assets when our business strategy indicates that we want to share them? And that can be a key part of the key big win for cloud as well. So for different agencies, cloud can mean many different things. This is one of the challenges with cloud computing. It's like, well, what is the cloud? It's like, well, I don't know, it's a bunch of different things. And that's the case, right? There's different value propositions for different organizations, different priorities, right? The different deployment and operational models, software as a service, platform as a service, as well as public, private, hybrid, et cetera, right? Different roadmaps for different organizations based upon their different challenges they're looking to address. And different architectures, right? So some organizations are more focused on, supporting interactivity at the user interface across millions of users. In other organizations, it's a much smaller user pool, but security is more important, right? So the priorities, the challenges, the user context can be different from one agency to the next. Okay, so with that in mind, your enterprise architect needs to put together a cloud computing roadmap. So what is on your roadmap? Well, the first thing you want to do is do a culture or support assessment. And at this point in time, that means asking yourself, are we an early adopter? Now, that's going to change over time, but we're still in the early adopter phase for cloud computing. Most organizations are not early adopters. So they may only be ready for the toe in the water stuff. Okay, we'll move email to the cloud because we're risk intolerant. But some organizations may be early adopters. They want to achieve some sort of early benefit of the cloud, in which case they're willing to take on more risk with something that is less proven. Once you figure that out, you want to define your goals. And the key point here is that you could have very different goals that all can be addressed by different aspects of a cloud strategy. Right? You may have financial goals, right? You want to move, say, capital expenditure to operational expenditure. Or you may have operational goals, where you want to deal better with spikes in traffic. Or you might have competitive goals. This is more so on the private sector, where we're trying to build some cloud-based product we want to bring to market. But it could be competitive in the sense of defense or law enforcement context, where we're competing with the enemy or the criminal element, and we want to gain an advantage over our opponent in that context as well. Or we may be focused on service levels, where we have some sort of specific business requirement for performance or availability, and that's going to be our business driver. Once we just figured that out, we have to quantify the benefits. Right? Moving from capital expense to operational expense, well, how much is it worth to you? How much is it worth to your organization to free up that capital budget? If you're beginning with a low number of users and you're going to expand over time, that's going to lower your cost early on. That might be a cost savings benefit. You may have specific performance targets. Well, you have to figure out what those are. Right? How much scalability are you looking for? How much elasticity are you looking for? And what are your top-line benefits? That is, if you're bringing a cloud-based product to market, how much money do you hope to make with that? Once you've put together these plans, now it's time to do your own spin. EAs, enterprise architects, do their own spin. They have to basically lay out the cloud story for IT management as well as for business management. So what is the story that your architects need to tell your business stakeholders about the cloud, about how we're dealing with security, how we're dealing with the value proposition of the cloud, how we're dealing with the various issues that we talked about in terms of legal and treaty issues, right? What is the story we're telling to the business? Of course, we have to mitigate those risks. What is our governance approach? How are we complying with regulations and other requirements of the business? And security, of course, has to be completely fleshed out. Choose our models, right? Are we doing a public cloud, private cloud, or maybe a hybrid? And many organizations are looking at hybrid approaches to provide for better legacy modernization or rationalization. And only then now are we ready to put together a tactical plan. What are our milestones? What are we actually going to achieve? And what is the schedule we're looking to achieve that on? Okay, but there's more to this story, right? Because I can't tell you what your business priorities are. You have to start with those. So what are your business priorities? What are the stakeholders really concerned about? That drives the whole enterprise architecture strategy. So when it comes to cloud, you may require scalability. That may be less important than elasticity, or maybe it's more important. I asked a question about service level agreements this morning. Well, one of the challenges there is, well, it's not all about uptime. Right? Uptime may be secondary to elasticity. But I can't tell you which is more important. You have to figure out what's more important for you, and then that's going to drive your cloud strategy. So basically, the key point here is that you don't know if cloud is the answer unless you know the question. Right? So you have to start with the problem you're looking to solve, and keep in mind that cloud can do different things for different organizations depending upon what kind of cloud offering you're looking to take advantage of. Cloud is multifaceted, and it's not the same thing for everybody. All right, and that's my talk. Quick and dirty. So I guess we have time for questions, do we? Yeah, a few minutes. Oh, I got to have some questions. Somebody give me a hard question. I gave the panel this morning a hard time. I deserve it, right?
More questions?
No questions, okay. Well, be sure to pick up one of ZapThink's posters. There's a pile of them on the table. That's our roadmap for enterprise IT in 2020. So it shows how cloud computing fits together with other trends in enterprise IT, including service-oriented architecture, mobile computing, et cetera. It's important to realize that cloud is not a trend in isolation. It's not like we have nothing but cloud going on in enterprise IT. There's a lot of stuff going on, and cloud is part of the story. And that's what we're trying to show on that poster. So, and it looks really good on the cube wall. So bring some home for all your techies. I don't like having any left over to take back to the office. Thus we're done. Thank you very much.